Today is the second day of the HSBC Ceylon Literary and Arts Festival, and I'm with the vivacious Arundhathi Subramaniam with the beret behind us. Arundhati, getting straight into the interview, you once said poetry feels like crafting a piece of jewelry. What kind of jewelry would your latest book be? A delicate pendant or something dramatic?
What a wonderful question, Tina. And of course, I'm uh, speechless at this point because I hadn't thought of it that way. Let me say this, I think a lot of the poems in the new book, which is called The Gallery of Upside Down Women, is about women who lead their lives on their own terms. It's about women mystic poets down the ages who've made unconventional choices. So I'd say they are a reminder, or at least several are, a reminder that aging can also be a kind of saging. It's possible to grow wiser,
Yes.
and life can grow deeper and richer with age. So the jewelry I would possibly liken it to is something that evokes the season of the fall. So maybe, as I was saying to someone recently, maybe chinar leaves in Kashmir in the autumn,
Okay.
something that crafts that. It's a very mellow, luminous kind of light. It's
Right.
not blazing, it's not glittering. So a kind of delicate jewelry.
Right. Perfect. And do you remember the first time you felt the magic of poetry? Perhaps not as a writer, but as a reader.
Yes, I think as a child, when I first discovered just nursery rhymes and doggerel, I remember the great exuberant sense of, oh my God, language here is behaving differently, and it's behaving in a way that makes me want to draw close to it, even if I don't understand it, because there's so much velocity and rushing air and sound and excitement
Right.
around language.
In our fast paced world where everything is like a swipe or everything is so fast paced, do you think poetry will live on or do you think it's had its day?
I think the paradox, Tina, is that more and more people who are very much into the very swipe culture that you mentioned are in fact posting their poems on social media. Whether you like their poems or not is another matter.
Yeah.
But the point is, for some reason, they feel the need to express themselves through an idiom that they consider to be poetry.
Yeah.
Which means I think that people are still drawn and will always be drawn to the need to express themselves in this very distilled form that we call poetry.
Right. Okay. You've spoken about Zen poetry and T.S. Eliot influencing you. Do you still return to old favorites when you need inspiration?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I've returned to Eliot for a while, but I've certainly returned to Basho, the Zen poet, and I return a lot to Neruda. I love that combination of the Zen poet's minimalism and Neruda's verbal, sumptuous, sensual quality.
Yeah.
I love that mix.
Neruda spent some time in Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
absolutely.
And when a poem begins for you, does it usually start with a line, an emotion, or an image?
An image, but one that has crystallized itself into a line. And then I follow the line and I try to see where it wants to lead me.
Would you like to give us an example?
Well, I have an old poem in my very first book about traveling in a peak hour Bombay local train. And the image there that came to me sharply was a million tongued, multi spoused Kali on wheels.
Right. Oh,
And I was, okay, what does this image want to say? Where does it want to go? And that's how the poem happened.
right. Okay. So, also, you've described prose as carpentry and poetry as lapidary art,
Oh.
right? On a typical writing day, are you more a carpenter or a jeweler?
I don't know if I'm a great lapidarist, but I'm drawn more to poetry for sure. I love it for its distillation, for its just intense compression, and the fact that it allows the image to do its work. So, poetry is primary, but I do write prose and I enjoy it. Nothing wrong with being a carpenter as well. I kind of enjoy the hammering and chiseling. And of course, these are broad categorizations. At their best, or at one's best, the two come together. And you're a carpenter and a jeweler all at once.
What tips the scales for you, poetry or prose?
Poetry.
Poetry, okay. You also divide your time between cities. Do you find that your environment, the change of environment, does it change your writing voice too?
That's a wonderful question. You know, the contradiction in this, I think, Tina, is when I moved away from Bombay because I wanted a break from its madness. The great paradox is I started writing a lot about the city when I moved away from it. So sometimes it's not about actually being in the place, but having a certain distance from it that makes you actually feel much closer to it than ever before. So I'd say sometimes when I'm sitting in New York, my mind, my heart is wandering through rural South Indian, that rural South Indian landscape. And at other times when I'm in Chennai, down south, I'm yearning for the voltage of Bombay,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. What tips would you give to our viewers who may be considering writing more poetry or wanting to dip their toes into the world of poetry?
I'd say the most important thing is don't believe that poetry is something you only do in your adolescence, because everyone has written a poem.
Yes.
There's no one who's crossed the age of 16 who hasn't written a poem. But poetry is not just an adolescent form, it's a form you can carry well into your adulthood. So, as a reader and as a practitioner, don't give up on poetry. It's not a juvenile form. The second thing I'd say is don't trust all those who tell you that you can't do it.
Absolutely.
It's important to persevere. And the third thing I'd say is don't simply write poetry, make sure you read it.
Yes.
The best poets are also readers,
Yeah.
wide, omnivorous readers of poetry.
Yeah. And where are we? You've curated festivals that bring poetry together with music and dance. What do you most enjoy about hearing poems performed aloud?
How lovely. I think poems just gain another life when they're released to the human tongue. You know, they're waiting to be released to the voice. And I enjoy reading my own poetry and other people's poetry, but I'm delighted when people take my own poems and want to do things with them. So there was a filmmaker who took a poem of mine called Home and created a short film around it.
Okay.
There have been dancers like Alan Melvalli, the Bharatanatyam dancer, who took a love poem of mine and did a classical dance piece around it. To my mind, she's made the poem hers. You know, it's no longer, I mean, yes, I have my version of it,
Yeah.
but she has hers. And she perhaps knows the poem better than I do. I think it's thrilling to find this kind of conversation between the arts. That to me is what makes it all worthwhile. I'm nourished by my conversations and by viewing dancers and musicians and every kind of creative practitioner.
And when you're not reading or writing, what brings you simple joy?
Drinking a cup of tea,
Ceylon, I hope.
Ceylon. Certainly, when I'm here, it's only Ceylon. I have a poem about drinking chai, which I
Okay.
hope you'll read at some point.
Uh-huh.
It's called When Two Women Drink Chai Together.
Okay.
There's a particular joy in sitting with an old friend, drinking a cup of chai, gnashing your teeth, and cackling as well,
Of
all
course,
at the same time.
And what do, now we are here at the HSBC Ceylon Literary and Arts Festival. What is your take on literary festivals and how important are they to you both as a participant and also how important is it for audiences to come and participate in things like this?
I think it's hugely important. I mean, I come from India, which is the land of, of lit fests. We've seen so many now. There are hundreds of lit fests. So, to my mind, we can always critique a lit fest, what could be better, what could have been done differently. But the fact that they're here to stay is something to celebrate. I loved this particular one. I've loved what I've seen of it, and I mean this very genuinely. Because it has a single venue, it has very thoughtfully curated programs. I've sat through several, and I felt deeply invited to each one of those sessions that I sat through. They were rigorous, intellectually rigorous, and they didn't just give way to the celebrity quotient that some lit fests give way to.
Yes, yeah.
So I think this is a very important balance for lit fests to maintain. And when you have intelligent curating, you will always find that balance. And I feel this has been an example of that.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Truly.
And thank you very much for giving us your time. And I hope you have a fabulous festival, the rest of it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.